This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Our next guest is a professional, fiduciary, and quality of life expert. Please welcome to the orange carpet for the very first time, Marguerite Lorenz.
And here she is. What's up, Marguerite?
Oh, things are really good.
Yeah, how you doing?
Busy.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yes.
So, Estate Planning 101, and just full disclosure, Marguerite is my successor trustee, so listed in my estate plans in my living trust as the person who would make decisions for me and my stuff if something were to happen to me. So full disclosure, I'm very biased towards her. I like her a lot, obviously. It's an important role, and that's what you do.
It is what I do.
And it's also what you teach, though, through Estate Planning 101, is how people can get their paperwork in order, if you will.
Right.
What is Estate Planning 101 for people who don't know?
Well, if you have a body, you need a plan. 18 years old, and you're expected to be a full-grown adult and have all your answers, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of people don't get their plans in writing. So Estate Planning 101 was specifically designed to help people get over the fear, the complexity. A lot of people worry, but instead of just worrying, we're asking people to take a bit of action. So we have 8 individual classes 1 through 8. Each one's unique. Each one has its own aha moments. And we meet 4 times. So we meet Tuesday, Thursday, 9 to noon. And that way everyone has a chance to not only learn a lot of new stuff, but has the chance to process it, get comfortable with it, include their own story, think about their own family and their own desires, come back and learn more. So we start with quality of life. That's the first topic.
Yeah, and you are a quality of life expert. I mean, that's how we introduce you. That's how I look at you. Have fun till you're done.
Right.
You're saying, right? You've been saying this forever.
I have.
On the radio with me and with other people for years. I don't think most people know a professional fiduciary.
Oh, that's true. There's fewer than 900 active licensees in the whole state of California. So how could you know one?
Right.
Unless you seek it out. And the word fiduciary has that same root word, semper fi, booyah, right? The duty of loyalty, making sure that if you're a fiduciary, for instance, a lot of adult children end up being a fiduciary. They might not know they have the job until the crisis occurs. Mom's in the hospital, dad can't really write checks anymore or pay his own bills or take care of himself. So I promised my sons a long time ago they'd never have to bathe me.
Yeah.
But you can't just say those words. You actually have to figure out how things are going to get paid for. You have to figure out how is that going to work? What are your logistics? Is your bedroom on the 2nd floor? So we give people an opportunity to really think about their own choices and their expectations.
And I think it's important to explain sort of the difference because, what's the difference between you and an estate planning attorney? You teach the Estate Planning 101 course, which is about, how to have fun till you're done, how to get your paperwork in order. But you're not an attorney. So what's the difference between you and an estate planning attorney?
It's a great question. So the drafting attorney becomes your advocate. So you would have to get your documents written and put together. And yes, we know you could probably go on the internet and you're really smart and you can figure out what should be in your documents. But what you really need is that conversation with the law professional to help you understand what you can and can't do in your documents, what would work and what would end up with your family in court. Mm-hmm. I'm on the other end. I'm the implementer of your plan. So the documents get written, you make decisions, and your life goes on, and as your life progresses, you're making updates in your documents. You're making sure that things match your life. Like your little girl is still a little girl, but someday she's going to be an adult, and when she becomes an adult, your plans might change. And then she might find the man of her dreams, and you don't like him. So then your plan changes again. So we keep our plans up to date as time goes on. And you work with your attorney to make that happen. But at some point in time, it can't be you anymore. Incapacity, resignation, and death is the most famous way that someone like me goes to work. And I would be the trustee of your trust. So you're the trustee first, I'm the successor.
Right.
In your will, I'd be the executor. On your power of attorney, I'd be your agent. And your advanced health care directive might be your spouse or a family member or someone you choose. And then I might be the backup. So the idea is that you not only have the documents, but you actually have someone who's going to do the work when the time comes.
Right.
That's the difference between me and the attorney.
When did the classes start?
They start in June. And so the easiest thing to do is to go online to our website, and that's estateplanning101.org, estateplanning101.org. And that way you can register for class. Everyone has to register. It's free to attend. It's so amazing. The charities completely support us in this. So they help us with the venue, they do all the promotions, and they make sure that the space is nice and the refreshments are good, right?
And who are the charities that support? Because this is a class that's supported by charities.
That's correct.
Solely.
That's correct. Our charities are the Salvation Army, KPBS, San Diego State University, and Cal State San Marcos.
That's so amazing.
It is really amazing.
So now I have to be honest, the work that you do is tough work to do.
Yeah.
This could be why there's so few professional fiduciaries out there, right? Who wants to sign up for this job? This is a very tough job.
Well, I'm responsible for everything. So if you consider that I'm not only responsible for tax, legal, financial, and medical decisions, I'm responsible for everything that happens with your personal property, everyone else who serves you. I supervise everything.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why I named her on my documents. And you should consider doing the same. But most importantly, you have to go to Estate Planning 101.
Well, it's really helpful. You might have an estate plan already, good for you, but maybe you haven't looked at it in a while. Or maybe things have changed in your life. And everyone's afraid of death at some level. But we can't let our fears make our decisions for us. And so if you're feeling any hesitation, if you don't know what questions to ask, if you're worried about how the rest of your family might feel about your choices, it's so empowering to come to this class. The feedback I get from the students, because it's not just the facts and the legal issues and the things you have to consider that go in the documents. It's how do you feel about staying in your home no matter what? And do you know what that costs? Nobody realizes what it costs. You know, we have this crazy idea that if we go out to dinner, it's more expensive than eating at home. So it must be the same with having care. But care in your own home can be super expensive. So we have to prepare for that. And too few people prepare, and then they end up someplace they don't want to be, with people making decisions for them that they never wanted to have making those decisions.
What do you say to people who just say, I don't need an estate plan, I got a will, or I wrote it down on a napkin, it's in the drawer in the kitchen?
Well, here's the thing. I want to stay in control. I don't know about you, but I drive a car. A lot of people in California do, right? I want you to picture for a moment not being able to drive anymore. Might that cause a few changes in your life? And it's not pleasant to think about. You can't drive. The keys in your pocket, the car in the parking lot that you have right now, gone. Who's going to pick you up from the station today? And by the way, Uber and taxis don't count, okay? Not the bus. Who's that person who's going to come get you from wherever you are and make sure you sleep in your own bed tonight? If you haven't made a plan, if you haven't communicated with that person, what is going to happen when something happens? Because what we do know is life continues to happen no matter what we think we've planned.
That's right.
And all of us want to just close our eyes and fall asleep and not wake up again in terms of the way we've planned our death. But it doesn't work that way. And we see a lot of people who lose capacity or just can't do the things that they used to be able to do anymore, or have surgery, and maybe it's only temporary that you need that kind of help. And do you ask your kids to stop their life and come get you? Will they? Will you end up with his third wife as your driver? I don't know. But having some kind of plan lets people know at least what you really want or what you really don't want. And you have a much better chance of being happy till the very end of your life if you at least get some things in writing and at least make a plan.
And here's the other thing too, you may not realize this, but the state has a plan for you.
It does.
There's a plan that's everybody's plan in case you don't have a plan. So the idea of, well, I have a plan or I don't have a plan, no, you have one. There's one out there and it's standardized and it very well may not be what you want.
Well, and add to that, okay, so I don't really have an estate, I don't have any money. Well, this isn't just about money, this is really about control. And who do you want to show up in your life and control your life? So that's one aspect. But the other part of it is you might have documents, but your moving parts, your accounts, your bank accounts, the way your house is titled, all those other things might not match your written plan. So I'm trying to save everybody a lot of money. I would argue that because you know what questions are going to be asked of you by the attorney, because you have better questions to ask the professionals you work with, you're going to save on attorney time. Your family's not going to have to go through probate or let the state decide where the money goes or how things get handled. And because of that, and if it costs you a few $1,000s to actually get a completed estate plan, you're saving all kinds of money.
Tons of money.
Yeah.
Go to the class, it's free, Estate Planning 101. You got to register though because seats are limited, right?
That's
This thing's
true.
been filling up every time.
We had over 100 students in each class last summer, and we actually sold out in our last class. We had a waiting list. So I recommend that if people register early, register now. It doesn't cost you anything. We do need your email address because we're going to confirm before class starts. You're going to get parking directions. You're going to know exactly where to go and how to get into the class.
Fantastic stuff,
Yes.
Marguerite. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
It's great
so
to
much.
have
It
you
was
on the
great.
show. Register Estate Planning 101 right now and stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
You know our next guest, whom you've seen on this show many times before. Please welcome back to the orange carpet, real estate expert from Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage, Scott Ryan, and his special guest, attorney for California Estate and Elder Law, Scott Stewart.
Welcome to the show, fellas. Scott and Scott. The Scotts are here.
Right.
All right. So, Mr. Ryan, first of all, great to see you again.
Thank you.
It's been a while. You wanted to bring Scott on today. Tell us why.
Well, I just turned 40. I have 3 kids. I'm trying to plan out how my life is going to go. It's going great so far, but I got to thinking it's time to get a trust set up. And Scott's a Scripps Ranch resident and a friend of mine, and I thought he'd be the right person to go to. And after meeting with him and having to answer all these hard questions about, who's going to control my assets and what decisions my kids are going to have to make down in the future, it really got me thinking about, what the future lies in for Scripps Ranch and for the people that are retiring there, not just in Scripps Ranch, but San Diego wide. So I felt compelled to bring Scott on the show to discuss elder law, estate planning, and how you protect your assets and go from there. So,
Scott, you wrote this book
I did.
right here. Tell us why you wrote this book.
Well, so I do elder law predominantly, and elder law is a subset of estate planning. And unlike estate planning attorneys, what I'm principally concerned about is what happens if you don't die, but rather what happens if you become really, really sick, and how do you plan for that? The statistics are crazy for what happens with seniors and the likelihood of them becoming ill and then having to pay for care, because most seniors either don't have a means to pay for care or, critically, haven't even had a conversation about what their preferences are. So when someone comes in my office like Scott and they start talking about what do I want, what's my legacy I want to lead, I also want to spend time with them talking about, well, what happens if you become just really sick, and how do you fix that problem?
Yeah, which can be a bigger problem, frankly, than anything else that can happen. And by the way, if you think rents have gone up, the cost for care has gone up so much it's gotten ridiculous, frankly.
Well, it's through the roof.
Especially if you want to stay in your home. That gets really, really expensive.
With the new overtime laws, if you have a 24-hour in-home caregiver, I was talking with a woman who owns a company, and she said that it's $16,000 a month. And we have clients of ours that are living in facilities with needing more care, and they're paying over $30,000 a month for care.
So these are numbers people have never heard before.
Right.
So I'm glad you're here bringing this up today. And by the way, when you talk about long-term care planning, which is
Right.
what your book is about,
Right.
that you wrote, can we get this on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon, but you can actually get it off my webpage. So if you go to my webpage,
Okay.
there's a link, you can download it. It's a free download.
Okay,
It's no
we'll put
big
that
deal.
up on the screen as well, because this is one of those things that's a very dynamic process. A lot of people don't realize that. By the way, this may surprise you, but I have long-term care insurance.
Right.
I'm 35 years old. I've had it for 5 years. And the thing with like long-term care insurance and things along those lines, the earlier you start planning, the way better off you are.
Well, and what's interesting about that is that's completely different than what most people think of. So the traditional model in terms of buying long-term care insurance is they would say wait till you're 50. The problem with that is that 40% of long-term care services are used by people under 65. And Parkinson's disease right now, the average age of onset is in their mid-40s. And those folks are going to absolutely require long-term care assistance, and Medicare doesn't cover it. Your health insurance doesn't cover it. Kaiser doesn't cover it. You're looking at either paying out of pocket, selling all your stuff off to pay, relying on your kids, or doing some other type of planning, whether it's through the VA or through some other type of government system. And that's where we come in, because we can navigate those systems and help people get financial assistance to pay for that care. But it's pretty tricky to do.
I mean, what are your options, really, as far as paying for it? You got to save up enough money, or you got to have insurance, right? I mean,
Right, and good luck with that, right? Because it's not unusual for our clients to be confronting bills at the end of their life of $600,000 to $1 million in additional healthcare costs that were just totally unanticipated.
And you do estate plans for people like you did for Scott.
Right.
But you also do elder law. Can you tell us what is elder law?
So elder law is, so there's two types of elder law. There's the type where they do litigation, and that's not what I do. What I do is elder law, which is about planning for incapacity. So we try to structure plans towards the fourth quarter of your life, and that's kind of our new catchphrase. And what that means is that if you become ill, if you can no longer communicate your wishes, what do you want to have happen? And how do you want that to be? Do you want to age in place and stay at home? Do you want your kids to pack you up and move you to Michigan because it's cheaper, even though you've never lived there before? What do you want to do?
I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a burden they're putting on their kids or successor trustees if they don't make those decisions ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And even more than that, even if they have made those decisions, if they haven't communicated them and they're getting to a state where they can't communicate those wishes, then the people who are following then have to recreate the wheel all over again. And as everyone here knows, we make great decisions when we're in the middle of a crisis, right? That's the time where we have the time to think about what the options are, right? Well, of course not. We now have to figure out that in a panic. And that's why what I want people to do is really start planning ahead and thinking about things way in advance. And I think that selling your home to pay for care, that's maybe the best idea ever, but it may be the worst idea ever. And there's a lot of reasons why that might not be such a great idea.
I'll make a case in point. I mean, I had a client about a year ago in Scripps Ranch. She was a neighbor across the street. Her original husband had passed away, and her new spouse, had also had a spouse that passed away. They united, got married. He had an asset in Temecula. She had an asset in Scripps Ranch. They rented the house in Scripps Ranch, moved to Temecula. He goes in for back surgery, is recovering. 2 weeks after surgery, he's discombobulated. Come to find out, they had to send him back into surgery, open his back. He had a huge infection, ended up paralyzed from the chest down, and they ended up having to foreclose. Ultimately, they had a family friend who came in and said, I could help you short sale. They were trying to get money out of this asset in Temecula. They were forced to move back into Scripps Ranch in a 2-story home. He was living in the downstairs bedroom. Ultimately, she was running out of money. The long-term care wasn't paying for it. They had an at-home person come to the house every day. They weren't living there full time. But I witnessed this firsthand myself, and it was a sad situation. I felt bad because she didn't want to move. She loved Scripps Ranch, but she ended up having to sell her house in Scripps Ranch and go buy a single-level house back in Temecula again with a reverse mortgage, which we've talked earlier today is,
that may or may not be the right solution.
Yeah.
And the thing is that choice she made, and we're kind of Monday morning quarterbacking here, that may or may not have been the right choice.
Yeah.
Because if the guy was a veteran during wartime, and their resources are positioned properly, I get in-home care assistance into that home to help them stay home.
Yeah.
And I've actually had household incomes increase by as much as $6,000 a month to keep people home, which is a truly amazing thing when you think about it, because most of these families are trying to live on a fixed income, and if they don't have the financial resources to pay for the care, well, where are they going to get the money to fix the house up, to sell the house? And then if they convert that asset into cash, where are they moving to?
And that's what you mean when you say you practice elder law. That's your realm.
Right. So you got to think all that stuff through. Well, I don't necessarily have solutions, but what I have is experience. And that's really what you're hiring a lawyer for. You're not necessarily hiring the lawyer to grab you by the nose and say, this is what you want to do. You're hiring the lawyer to say, what do you want to do, and how do we get there? And how can we get there in the most efficient way possible, and how can we understand what the pros and cons are of those decisions? So the reason why I do what I do, and I do it well, is because I've literally seen tens of thousands of people doing the exact same thing. And I've made the mistakes, or my clients have made the mistakes in the past, and I say, we're not going to do that again.
So in a situation like that, where someone's got a house, maybe it needs to be fixed up, or maybe it's even an asset of a probate situation, whatever it may be, how do you navigate that situation from your standpoint, selling the house?
It happens every day. I walked into an estate sale yesterday in Scripps Ranch. This agent who I networked with had told me he's got the listing, and they're having a sale, and I walked in, and the house it hadn't been touched since it was built. It was original condition. So, whether you decide to sell the house or not, and a guy like Scott is the perfect person to talk to first before you make that decision. But if it comes time to actually sell that asset, it's good to have the resources to be able to fix it up and maybe fine-tune it a little bit and get maximum dollars so that you can extend that wealth preservation to your heirs and the people you're getting the money to when in fact it comes time to sell, versus selling it in the original condition where you've got investors and bottom feeders offering you, all cash, 20% below market.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's proven time and time again, especially with the homes I've been selling in Scripps Ranch, that the houses that are remodeled and fine-tuned are getting top money, versus something like that kind of situation.
Very quickly, too.
Very quickly.
Yeah,
So
it is a hot market there.
We're quickly
Absolutely.
getting top money.
Yeah.
Well, Scott and Scott, thank you guys so much for being
Thanks.
here. Scott Stewart, your book, Long-Term Care Planning, available on your website, which we'll put on the screen right now. This is something that everyone is going to have to deal. Well, we hope we have the opportunity to deal with long-term care planning, at least. That's the idea, right? We hope we get to the point where we can deal with this. So if that's the case, if that's what we're hoping for, we should probably plan for it. Really appreciate you coming in today. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Scott Ryan, as always, you're amazing.
Thanks,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. We do it all commercial-free.
Our next guest is joining us for the very first time. Please welcome the broker owner of Danny Davis Real Estate. He is the Danny Davis.
There he is. The Danny Davis. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Here to talk about the global strategies, the
Right.
things that are changing real estate sales right now, virtual tours, online websites. So many things are different now about looking for homes than they ever have been.
Exactly.
What do you think is some of the most impactful stuff that agents are doing now to market properties that just didn't exist like 10 years ago?
So it's no longer just going in and taking photos of a house and putting them on the MLS. Now you're getting drone videos. You're actually trying to tell a story and create a lifestyle so people can see themselves living in the house before they're even there. It really gives the buyer a feel for the property and it helps the seller sell the property.
Okay. And is this something that is being widely done right now, or is this something that's just sort of starting to leak into the market slowly?
Some agents are doing it. Not a lot of agents are doing it, but I think it's going to be the new protocol for what agents have to do in order to keep up with what top agents are doing.
Okay. I heard the MLS hasn't adopted this idea of these 3D tours yet, or the idea of having a virtual tour or something available,
Right.
that they're just still showing pictures. Is that the case still?
Well, so they'll show pictures, they'll do virtual tours, but it's basically a virtual tour. When you hear the traditional virtual tour, it's pictures that are just moving.
That's a slideshow.
It's a slideshow.
I'm just saying that's a slideshow.
It's a slideshow.
That's not
exactly.
a virtual tour.
Exactly. Now the MLS has just adapted videos. They won't let you put your logo or any of your information on it, but they'll actually allow you to download a video so you can see everything. So if you're not doing a video and you're not creating that lifestyle for people, you're almost doing your sellers a bit of a disservice.
Okay. And when you say creating that lifestyle, do you mean that buyers today need to be able to see what kind of lifestyle they're going to get from the home? In other words, the home equals the lifestyle? Is that kind of the way they're looking at it?
I definitely think so, because they're going to be moving into that home and they're going to be surrounded by the community that they're in. So take videos of the community. I sell a lot on the beach, so I take a lot of videos of people playing volleyball or people surfing, and just to kind of give them the feel that they're already living in the home, or feel what it would be like to live in the home.
Has the technology helped make the sales process more efficient? In other words, buyers only need to see 2-3 properties before they write an offer because they've already vetted so many of them.
Right, so buyers have so much information. They have almost as much information as us brokers do because they're searching online. They're going to sites like Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, things like that, and they have all that information, although some of the information may not be 100% accurate. They still have the information. They can pull their tax records and see what the people paid for the property. So it used to be where buyers would come into my office and I'd say, here are the 10 properties we're going to go look at today. Nowadays, buyers come into my office and they say, here are the 10 properties I want to look at. Because they have all the information online there.
Do you feel minimalized by that at all as a broker? Do you feel like, gosh, these websites they're taking away the job that I used to enjoy doing?
Not at all, because that's only a part of the job. It's only a small part of the job. As a broker, there's still the legalities, there's still the contracts, there's still the negotiation, I feel like that's part of my job. I want the buyers to be able to pick out the houses that they want to see because it appeals to them, not because it appeals to me.
You know, how important are these items, these new items, the 3D tours, the Matterport stuff, the real virtual tour, let's
Right.
call it that,
Right.
not a slideshow.
Right.
You know, the drone videos. How does all that play out in the global marketplace, or what are some of the things that add to that?
Well, so when you have all the drone videos, when you have the 3D tours, when you have everything where it's almost like the only thing that they haven't seen is the property in person. So somebody can be sitting in China and feel like they've already gone through the house. You know, for instance, we have all of our listings, they go out to 150 different countries. There are 650 plus thousand agents that they go out to worldwide, translated into 19 different languages and translated into 55 different currencies. So it's pretty amazing. They have all that information, and you know, 1 in 12 buyers now is a foreign investor. And 50% of those buyers are cash buyers. And California is the #2 state that they're buying in. So you have to appeal to a global market in San Diego.
It seems like this is becoming a big destination for that international. You said 1 in 12, that's a lot.
Right.
Compare that to other places in the country where it's virtually non-existent.
Right.
There was something recently that was passed, I believe, that disallowed for people who are international buyers to use cash unless they could source it or something along those lines. Did you feel that did you feel that at all? Did you see that affect the marketplace?
There was a bit of an impact, but you know, there's still, when you're buying cash, they're gonna want to trace the money, right? So it didn't have a huge impact on the market because there's still ways to get around it, and there's still foreign money that are buying properties.
Yeah, foreign money out there that's legit. It's not
Legitimate,
all,
right.
It's not all illegitimate, right?
Exactly.
What about individual websites for properties? I see this sometimes.
Right.
Do you feel like that is a worthwhile thing to do, to create a whole website just for a listing?
100%. We do that on all of our listings. Like I said, we're trying to create a lifestyle, and we want to, if we can drive the traffic for your property to one single portal, whether it be 123mainstreet.com, you go on that website, and most of the time we do a WordPress site, you know, where they can scroll through, they can do the 3D tour, so they're walking through the property basically. We do the videos, you know, with the music and creating the lifestyle with the drone shoots, so they can see the videos there, and then they can have all the other information about the community, about the schools, anything that they want on that one portal, you know. So the reason that we do that is if anybody in the world is looking for a property like yours, they're going to be able to find it, they're going to be able to find that portal, and they're going to be able to have all the information they need about your property.
Yeah, and the MLS just doesn't afford that, and you have to have access, and people outside of the country don't really have access to it.
Right.
Other than through some of the bigger sites, let's say like Zillow or Trulia. Let's go there.
Right.
So on the global scene, how do you think the Zillow, Trulia of the world, how do you think those are playing into that global scene?
They are, but still, like, I don't think they go far enough into the global scene. That's why we use a different portal altogether, where it's a paid site that we do, but it's translated into 19 different languages. So people can be sitting in China and read about the property in Chinese, so they fully understand it.
Okay, so you don't think that they're having an impact internationally, the Zillows out there?
I do, because people still go on those sites.
They do.
But everybody's looking for their properties online, and there's three to four heavy hitters online that really own all the business. I just read an article, Zillow just spent, I think, $60 million on their website. You know, so they're really trying to capture everybody that they can to go to their site to search for properties, because you know, I'm a premier agent on Zillow, so I pay them to advertise my properties and have myself as, you know, a contact, so people can just click and it calls my phone directly.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's still having an impact then.
It's definitely having an impact. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Great stuff. Danny, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Really
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. Absolutely, great
All
to
right.
have you. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guests have been doing their best to help solve the San Diego housing crisis. Please welcome to the show real estate investor and developer Leo Clark and builder with TDT Construction, Dustin Trotter.
Welcome to the show, fellas. How you doing?
Thank you. Great.
Dustin, good to have you back, man.
Hey, Derek. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, it's been a while. Leo, great to have you on the show for the first time. And of
Thank
course,
you for the invite.
people who might recognize your name, you might have seen these signs all over Santee. Of course, Dustin here is not just building San Diego, he's also running for city council in Santee.
Absolutely. It's my new passion and endeavor for this. Actually, it's almost been 12 months now that when I announced and getting it going. We've got about 6 months to go into the election in November.
Are you excited for the race leading up? Do you know who you're going to be against and all that stuff?
Yeah, currently I have 3 other opponents right now. We have all the way until August to file for the office. So right now it's what's called an intention statement has been filed. So you intend to run for office, so that way you can campaign and raise funds for that. And then, like I said, go all the way to August to, who knows, 3 or 4 or 10 more people may jump in at the end of the day.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I would sit this one out because you don't have a chance with this guy. All right, he's going to make it happen. Today we're going to talk about all the different things you guys are building all over San Diego. Yes. I mean, this is we have a legitimate housing crisis.
Yes, we do.
In San Diego County.
Yeah.
We literally do not have enough homes for people to live in.
Yes.
Way more people are coming into this city every year than are leaving, and we are not building that many houses.
Correct.
So you guys have a really important gig out
Yeah.
there, and it's tough, right? Because it's not the old days of San Diego where you could build 100 homes on a track.
Right.
How difficult is that as a builder to try to make that pencil out when you have to just build 2-3 houses at a time?
Buy the land right, control the costs on the build, control the development costs. You have no control over permits and fees and water meters. You have no control over that, but control what you can. And make sure that you're buying right, spending the right amount of money to build the right product in order to go to market for the right sale price.
I know, Leo, you have a big passion behind what you're building.
Yes, I do.
You want it to be there 100 years from now.
Sure do. When I'm long gone, 100 years from now, somebody will know that I created something here in San Diego, and it will last well over 100 years.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, where are you building right now?
Right out of the ground right now is San Marcos. We have a home for sale in El Cajon, a home for sale in La Mesa. Lemon Grove, we're subdividing Lemon Grove right now. The project Lemon Grove will be 5 homes. San Marcos is 3 homes. And then Vista is right behind those 2. So kind of all over the county. National City is coming up also as well. So multiple areas of San Diego.
And each one of those projects are anywhere from 3 to 5 homes.
Yes.
So it's 3, 4, 5, each one of them.
Yes.
So it's kind of the general area that you can get that amount of homes on those lots and stuff. And you subdivide them.
There's got to be an end to the infill too, right? At some point. I mean,
well, they're rezoning
so
certain areas.
Ground.
Yeah, they're going. San Diego City proper is going to go through some rezoning too. They're looking to do maximum density in certain areas. So when cities begin to run out of areas, yes, they do have to start looking at how do we rezone certain neighborhoods, if you will, and get a little bit more density out of it.
Our focus is primarily on single-family homes, but you see that countywide. You see a lot of these larger apartment complexes going up, a lot of mixed-use projects. More inner city where you got the retail on the bottom and the living quarters on top. So you see the density stuff happening. It's just a different model for different guys.
Yeah, they're building up basically because out doesn't work anymore.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of these really big name builder companies, they don't want to do the small project for them. It's not worth it. So you guys have a really important role because we need those homes.
Yes, absolutely.
We desperately need those homes. I mean, there's so many people who want to buy that they just can't find or they can't compete or whatever it may be. So the more we can get in the inventory side, the better. You mentioned a number of different developments earlier, but one of them that's right there is the one in San Marcos.
Yes.
Who wants to tell us about the details behind that one?
I'm the owner and developer of it. I purchased it over a year ago, and we went through some process with the city of San Marcos, went through some changes with the stormwater runoff and a few other things. But this little 3-home project is on a private road, Roadrunner Road, and it is 25 to 2,600 square foot homes, all single story, 3-car garage, 4-bedroom, 4.5 baths, and a good layout. What I go forward, because I design the homes as well, I go forward looking at from a standpoint of what the buyer wants. And most buyers today want a single-family home with a good floor flow, flowing from the great room to the kitchen to the bedrooms, master suite. So I designed these homes so that that is meeting the meat and potatoes or the bulk of the buyers out there.
Do you know the price points? When are they going to be available?
August 1st.
July 15th to August 1st
Right.
is our target timeline right now for the first house to the third house.
Yes.
Okay, so these will probably go pretty quick then, I imagine.
$695 is the price point right now. We're in that group or that bulk of buyers that are qualified between that $550 and $750. So yeah, there'll be a great home. Most energy efficient homes on the market. Aside from the standards that we have to build at, we add other things to it. You know, being solar ready, a lot of modern amenities from, you know, a Bluetoothing of the home, whether it be the thermostat or your key entry point. So there's a lot of little
Bluetoothing.
yes.
Bluetooth in the homes?
Oh yeah. you can get the Nest or the Honeywell that's connected to your phone. You literally have that Wi-Fi access to controlling the home.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
this is not your average, you know, $695,000 house then. And by the way, 4 bedrooms you said, right?
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
also a big deal. And
Yes.
by the way, it's brand new,
Yes.
which you don't get the opportunity to buy a brand new house in San Diego very much.
Right.
You know, it's just not the case. So San Marcos obviously very desirable for
Yes.
schools and so on and so forth. A lot of people know that. What's the lot size for those guys?
3/4 acre.
At 30,000 square feet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's part of the reason why we're able to get these nice single-family homes with a lot of space, you know, backyard and side yard and stuff like that on these ones. Some homes obviously have a little tighter lots. The ones in Lemon Grove are coming up. We just got the building plans submitted for those, and those are actually 2-story homes each one.
Right.
And smaller lot, 2-story homes, about 2,000 square feet.
Right.
Each
Each home
one.
is 2,000 square feet.
So it's a different product, different market, and different lots. You got to adapt, you know, be able to fill it in to
Yeah.
what it can fit.
Right.
Well, you guys are, I mean, you're out there, you're building the inventory that we need. You're figuring out how to do it because, you know, by the way, like I said, it's not like you had, oh, here's 50 acres to, you know,
Yeah,
make
exactly.
something out of,
Yeah.
you know. You're like, okay, we got, you know, for the one in San Marcos, for example, that's what, about 3 acres probably.
Yeah, a little under. Yes.
A little under
It's
3
two,
acres.
2.5 acres originally, yeah.
2.5 acres. You probably had to do a lot of stuff to the land even just to get
Yes.
it ready, get it developed.
Yes.
All the things that need to be done. So
Absolutely.
there's a ton of work that goes into doing that. I don't think people realize it. So not only is it cool that there's new homes that are available, people can actually buy a new home in San
Right.
Diego, which is rare, but these are also were carefully designed because you had no other choice,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they're not tracked, they're not template type floor plans. So they literally are, we call them custom spec. It's a spec build, but with custom finishes. So we really look at from the standpoint of what the buyer wants always.
That's awesome. Well, Dustin,
Yes, sir.
you have any message for anybody who's wondering why they should vote Trotter coming in November here in Santee for City Council?
You know, it's like I said, it's obviously my new endeavor. I've been working in Santee for a long time, live in Santee. My business is there, you know, doing a lot of philanthropy and volunteering over the years. And I tell everybody today it's my next level of community service. You know, I'm not doing this for a job. You know, I'm not. This is not going to replace my income by any means. Being on the city council, it's going to be there to, you know, make sure that the city goes in a proper direction of what the citizens want, what I believe we should maintain the family feel and the, you know, take care of our parks and our safety services, and, you know, just I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be a part of all that.
Fantastic stuff. Well, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
I know you won't need it, but good luck to you anyway. Leah, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having
really
me.
appreciate your time. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guest is the owner of the real estate inspection company here in San Diego and is making his first appearance on the show. Please put your hands together for Philippe Heller.
There he is, Mr. Heller. How you doing, man?
Very well.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you own the San Diego Inspection Company. You do tons of inspections
Yes.
of people's homes.
Yeah.
This is typically done when a buyer says, okay, we want to buy this house. They get a contingency period, then an inspector comes, like you or one of your guys comes, to
Yeah.
check out the house to make sure everything's okay.
Correct.
The thing that's really cool about you and your company is that you are ahead of the curve on the tech side like a mofo. And there's a bunch of really cool tech, and I noticed today you brought one of those cool things with you.
I did. all of our guys are equipped with thermal imaging cameras. And what this does is it gives us kind of a peek at things that you can't see with the naked eye. It sees temperature, and that can help us find moisture, helps us evaluate the heating and air system. It can help us find overheated electric wires. I have found old aluminum wiring that was overheating and was a fire hazard, and the sellers actually thanked me for finding it because they never would have known until it was too late. Primarily we use it to find moisture, and it's a great tool.
Let me see this thing.
Sure.
Let me see if we had a leak up in the corner here. Oh, I don't know. That might actually be good. I might have to have you take a look at this place. This is amazing. So this is not every inspector uses this technology.
Correct. They're very expensive, and especially when you start talking about multiple inspectors like we have. And many inspectors haven't made that investment. They think, well, I can see a stain. I can see if something's wet. The problem is, with so many flip houses in San Diego, they're freshly painted, and you may not see a stain. You know, there might be a freshly tiled shower upstairs that wasn't done properly. So we run the water, we go downstairs, we check with the thermal camera. Sure enough, we'll find leaks all the time with it. And it's something that may not have manifested yet into a stain, but this can see it through fresh paint.
And you guys
it's amazing.
You guys have a bunch of other really cool pieces of technology, but something like this just shows you going the extra mile, because ultimately whoever's paying for this inspection needs it for their negotiation abilities in the transaction.
Yes, a thermal picture is indisputable. So if we say, look, there's a leak under a shower, or there's moisture coming in from outside, it's really hard to dispute it, so a buyer can use that as leverage to negotiate a repair.
And one of the things that we do on our reality show, Win This Listing, is we have appraisals, inspections done ahead of time, which is something that you now are offering.
Yes.
A pre-listing inspection, because whoever's paying for the inspection is sort of getting ammo for the negotiation.
Correct.
So if the buyer's paying for the inspection, then they're using that information as ammunition to negotiate. Say, oh, well, there's a leak here, this is broken, that doesn't work, this was overheating, this needs to be replaced. We want a lower price.
Yep.
However, if you are the homeowner, and I recommend everyone do this, if you're going to sell a home, get the inspection done yourself. Why would you want to give all that leverage to the buyer? Do it yourself. Yeah. If there's something wrong, know it before anyone else does, fix it. And then when the buyer does their own inspection, they won't find anything.
Correct. It takes away all those objections. And it's not just me as an inspector saying get a pre-listing inspection. Actually, the National Association of Realtors said that houses that are pre-inspected prior to listing sell for more money and in a shorter duration, because the buyers are more confident. You protect yourself as the seller and as the real estate agent from liability, because you're going above and beyond disclosing everything. So instead of waiting for the buyer to come in and getting a thick report with all these maintenance items, get them done ahead of time. The sellers will also save money because they have the luxury of time then to negotiate for repairs. So the seller sells their house for a higher price. If they have to make repairs, they can negotiate a lower fee. And the real estate agents make a bigger commission because the house is selling for more.
Yeah.
So it works really well for the selling side.
Yep, absolutely. What works for whoever pays for it first.
Correct.
That's really who it works for.
Yes.
And if the buyer pays for the inspection first, then it's going to work for them. If the seller pays for the inspection first, then it's going to work for them.
Good point.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So I would actually recommend getting the inspection done before you list the property. And I think that's why you call it the pre-listing inspection, because you don't want to list a property, get an offer, and then all of a sudden you're getting your own inspection. You might need some time. There might need some things that might need to be fixed that might take a few weeks.
Yeah, and a simple service may save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars rather than waiting till you're in that escrow period and your AC wasn't working quite as well as it should. And now you have a buyer who wants to buy your house, but they want that huge credit.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, you've probably seen some pretty crazy things,
Oh, yeah.
I imagine, crawling around in houses all over San Diego County.
Oh, yeah.
These things are the things that are sort of hidden behind the walls, hidden in the nooks and crannies, underneath the houses. And we're not even talking about bugs here.
Correct.
We're not even talking about that.
That's simple stuff.
Yeah, that's easy, right? You can see where bugs are. We're talking about the stuff that you don't see, the stuff that you don't smell, the stuff that you don't know is there. There's only one way to find out, and that's to have a guy like you come out with equipment like this and stick it in every nook and cranny of the house.
Yeah, you really want somebody who's trained, who has seen all these things, and we know where to look. We know where the problems are. We understand flip houses, old houses, new houses even, And so you want somebody with that breadth of experience looking at the house.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that's interesting, I think, about San Diego is the roof situation. It's like I'm from Missouri. It's like shingles. That's what we have. Here, there's all sorts of different kinds of roofs and whatnot. Some people may not realize what's going on with those roofs, but a lot of those roofs, they're like, I don't know, they're like tile or porcelain or something on the Mexican-style houses. You know what I'm talking about?
Concrete or clay.
Or clay. That's what I was looking for, clay. But like, there's all sorts of things that can happen with those roofs.
Yes.
That's a common thing. People think, okay, a roof, but the roof will be good for this long. But you don't know until you get up there and look at it.
Some people never consider the roof until it leaks. They don't realize that they should be servicing it. They should be getting debris off of it. There's a lifespan to the tar paper underneath the tile that does need to be replaced, especially on houses built in the 70s and 80s, even the early 90s. That paper, with our dry climate, only lasts about 25 or 30 years. So if you go into some of the older neighborhoods, you'll see that all the tiles are being stripped and the paper's being replaced. So it's something at least to be aware of when you're buying a home.
Give me the brass tacks on this. Let's say I'm a home seller. And I'm like, okay, we made the decision as a family. All right, we're going to sell the house in the near future. I'm watching the show Smarter San Diego, want to be smarter than everyone else, want to get my pre-listing inspection. What does it look like? What's it going to cost me? How long does it take? What am I in for?
Sure, it's a few $100s, and it's based on the size of the house, whether there's pools or guest houses. We have all types of houses, obviously, in San Diego. But you're looking at any, top-level inspector in San Diego is going to charge you probably close to $450 to $550 for the average house in San Diego. And an inspection will last a few hours. It's very thorough, so it's going to be between 2 to 3.5 hours, depending on how much documentation there is. And you will get a big report with photos and lots of detail. And then you can use that as a negotiating tool and say, look, we've taken care of 90% of these items were not taken care of. So the buyer has that confidence that you've done your due diligence, you're disclosing everything, you've maintained the home, and it makes for a much smoother transaction.
Now this FLIR here, this infrared camera, that shoots videos too, right?
It does. We could take, of course, still images, but it does, the higher end cameras, not all of them do. This one does take video as well. So we can capture a leak. We can capture, some what happens when, for example, sprinklers are spraying against the house. It's amazing.
When sprinklers are spraying against the house?
They can, if it goes on for a long enough time and it's soaking into the house, it can actually get through, and you can see where it's going to damage baseboards, drywall. Eventually, it will cause perhaps a mold problem in the wall. So sprinkler spraying against the house is that's one of the biggest things we see. People plant plants next to the house, and then they aim the sprinklers at it. And eventually it destroys the stucco, and it's a big problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are the things you need to know before you sell your home. Don't let the buyers have the advantage. If they pay for the inspection first, they're going to get it. Philippe, thank you so much for coming in today, man.
Thank you.
Showing us your cool tools. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.
Our next guests are some of the best at what they do in all of San Diego. Please welcome back to the show the mortgage geek, Sean Cahan, the vice president at Cornerstone Mortgage Group, and his special guest, real estate expert, Emma Lefkowitz.
Welcome to the show. What's up, y'all? Hey. How you doing? Mortgage geek.
Hey, good.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, awesome.
You guys look really good today together. We get a wide shot of that.
Pretty,
It's very cute. Emma, welcome to the show for the first time.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
It's great to have you. We're going to talk about how to essentially compete today in a hot market. Still in a very hot market. I don't know if you know how outspoken this guy has been about the market on this show or not, but you'll have to watch some past segments. He's been very honest with us about what he thinks, and we really appreciate it because, the show's about making people smarter. So what do you do? Well, we're in a hot market right now. What does that mean? That means that there's a lot of people who want to buy properties, not that many properties available.
Right.
So what do you do in that situation, Emma, if you're a buyer and you just go, man, do I now have to outbid someone? Is it all about that? What do you do?
Right. So it's a really good question, and Sean is actually the perfect person to be part of this conversation. Number one, you have to be pre-approved. You cannot really go out and look at houses seriously until you have that pre-approval letter in your back pocket. It's so important. You need to know exactly what you can afford, you need to know how much you're putting down, and you need to be ready to write an offer on the day that you see the home that you fall in love with.
spell it out for me. If I don't do it and I say, no, people say get pre-approved. They're just trying to be super organized. They're just being, OCD about the situation. I don't really need to do that. What's going to happen to me if I think that?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, you might be looking at homes that are in the wrong price range, and you might not be able to afford the home that you fall in love with, and that's just devastating. So better to start with knowing what you can afford. The second thing that happens when you go look at homes and you're not pre-approved is you find out that there's 6 offers on this home, and you have to submit an offer by 5 p.m. today. And you're frantically calling your lender to try to get your pre-approval letter. He may be busy at that exact moment, and you also have to pull all your paperwork together that day. And it's really this frantic rush, and you might miss the deadline and miss an opportunity to buy a home.
Well, one of the things that's always been interesting to me about buyers is that they hesitate to, and they're reluctant to give paperwork up front, but it's the same paperwork you're going to have to give eventually anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the same stuff. Why not just do it now? It's just like the dirty dishes in the sink. You guys heard about this? It's like if you're going to clean the dishes eventually, why not do it now? Why wait and look at dirty dishes for 2 days? Doesn't make any sense.
Or have something on your mind the entire time.
That's
like,
what I mean.
oh, I need to do this. Or what I always say is that there's 50 documents that's required for financing at all times, right? That's just like a normal number that a lot of people use. And so I'd be more than happy to ask you for all 50 pages up front, and you can do it all at one time. That might take you about an hour. Or I can ask you, 1 week I can ask you for 10 documents, and then the next week I can ask you for another 10 documents, and then by the 3rd week you're going to hate me because you're going to say, like, why didn't you ask for all of this up front?
Totally.
And then I'm like, that's what I want too. I don't want to come chasing you. So I just like all 50 documents up front. It just makes my life easier.
Well, and if we work together and manage the expectations of the buyers, that if they're able to provide this up front, it's going to be such a more pleasurable process. Take out the pain of having to provide documents to Sean, 6 documents a day, which makes everyone crazy, and just provide it all up front before we even go look at homes. And then it's just done, and you know exactly what you can afford, your letter's ready, and we can write offers that maybe we can remove the appraisal contingency, or we can even take out the loan contingency if Sean has them fully through underwriting.
That was what I was going to ask you about, because I know you're very innovative in the realm of trying to, get ahead of these things.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned earlier, hey, if we do all these things, then our offers look just like cash, which is huge for people who are getting financing, because usually, the cash offer, even if it's lower, is going to win.
Because they don't have contingencies.
Yeah.
There's nothing for the seller to worry about when you get into escrow. Oh, is the appraisal, did that loan officer make a mistake? Did the agent and the loan officer work together, right? So Emma always sends over, hey, I need a pre-approval letter. Here's the contact information of the listing agent. I always call over and say, hey, Emma and I work together on almost every single transaction. We do a lot of deals together. They're completely pre-approved. I already have verification of employment. No loan contingencies required. I already have them approved.
And that agent's like,
I had one email me yesterday and say, I've never even heard of this before. Please put this into writing on your pre-approval. No joke.
No,
and I was
totally new.
So the main thing then as a buyer that you can do to really get ahead of the game is to not just have a pre-qualification, but to actually have a pre-approved status, meaning that you've got as close to cash. You can make your offer as close to cash as possible.
Exactly.
And anyone can do this, right? FHA loans.
Correct.
Like, it doesn't matter how much money you're putting down.
No.
You can do this if you just get your paperwork in order.
Get your paperwork in there, get through pre-underwriting, get a stamp of approval, and then there's nothing to even worry about it. Also at that time, like, most of the hang-ups are, oh, we don't have the transcripts back. How many times have we heard that, Oh, we don't have the written VOE back from the employer. It's like, well, did you wait until you had loan approval before you got it? Like, well, what was the point of that? Why not get it at the pre-approval? I need that anyway, so.
Right. And that's why we work with Sean, because to be honest, most lenders don't take the time to take those steps in advance. And when you're working with a knowledgeable veteran lender who knows that they can do those things in advance and cross those bridges early, it makes a huge difference for the buyer and for the seller, because they have that peace of mind.
Well, there it is. You need every advantage you can get.
Well, and then a buyer's agent, you look like an all-star if you're going out there and you're writing non-contingent offers. Like, every listing agent wants to accept them as offer, because they know that the deal's going to go through smooth. Everyone's kind of looking out for each other, right? And I think that's always kind of like the end goal. So.
Very cool. So Emma, I have to ask you some questions about the market in general. It's the first time on the show. We want to hear what you think We've had a very hot market for several years. Do you think that this can last?
I do. I mean, it feels really good right now out there. Prices are strong, buyers are strong, buyers are putting down great down payments on homes, usually 20% at least we're seeing, at least in my local market, and interest rates are holding steady.
Do you have an area of San Diego that you like best? It's like, this is my favorite neighborhood or favorite area of San Diego for growth and for owning?
Absolutely. I mean, I live and work in Scripps Ranch. That's where my brokerage is, and that's where I live, and my children are in the schools there, and I think it's a phenomenal neighborhood. I sold 50 homes last year in Scripps Ranch alone, and I think that is just the place to be.
Number one agent.
Number one agent. Thank you, Sean. It's a phenomenal location. We have, great neighborhoods, great schools, great appreciation on property values, and that makes a huge difference. You want to buy in a neighborhood like Scripps Ranch, and there's obviously several others that are similar, where you're going to see that appreciation long-term on your investment because you have great schools, and we have low HOA or no HOA on most homes, no Melrose tax, which keeps that monthly payment nice and low and affordable, but you can still have a backyard, which is exciting for most home buyers.
Yeah, a lot of people want that because it's going away. I mean, they're not building houses with yards hardly at all anymore if you look at any of the new construction.
Right.
First of all, most of it's multifamily, but if you get past that and look at the single family stuff, I mean, there's not much of a yard, if anything. Sean, do you remember what you said last time I asked you that question? What area of town you liked?
No, I don't remember. But what did I say?
You said Bay Park.
Bay Park.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely.
You still on board with Bay Park?
I mean, I just think that it has a lot of aspects to offer to the middle range, right? Scripps Ranch up northern, and then Bay Park a little bit down kind of southern, kind of central.
Yeah,
coastal.
Located, coastal. So I think that you can still get like a property with a good backyard, decently priced, not pushing $1 million, $1.5 million, and really have like a nice house still.
Okay.
So I think that that's kind of up and coming, especially with that trolley that they're extending through Bay Park. I think it'll be another push to get some more rehabilitation in that area to increase the I don't want to use that word. I was going to say like newer homes, like remodel and get refurbished. That's the word. I like that word better than the one that came to my head.
No, but Bay Park's awesome for location. So close to downtown, close to the beaches. If you want to be anywhere on the 5, you can get there in 10 minutes from Bay Park.
Great stuff, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Emma. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being
too.
here. Mortgage Geek, thank you as always for coming. Really appreciate it. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.
Hey, great show, guys. That's a wrap. Jade, what's your schedule look like? Do you mind breaking down the set?
Not today, Derek. I'd love to, but there's waves out there. I gotta go. Angela? Nikki?
Yeah, I gotta go beat traffic. And I think Nikki's making something up there.
Look at this. We did this. We did all of this.